Welcome to the Artist Work Ethic Podcast. I'm Mike Pelak. I'm an actor, screenwriter, and filmmaker who's always looking to maximize my time and potential as I work to break in. In this podcast, I talk to artists of all kinds who have seen success in their fields about their process, habits, and work ethic. Today on the show is Mike Watt. Mike is a legendary bassist who, in addition to his solo work, has played bass in the Minutemen, Firehose, and the Stooges. He's collaborated with a who's who of the rock world, including Dave Grohl, Eddie Vedder, Black Flag, Sonic Youth, Mike D, and so many more. For this episode, we went a little bit off of the typical format, and I wanted to hear about Mike's new project called The Spirit of Hamlet, which is a really cool collaboration that, as he talks about, was done entirely, basically, not in person. And it was really interesting to hear how this has come together. A couple quick things before we jump into the episode. I've talked in the past about myself working on breaking into screenwriting. Please check out blackoilfilms.com/screenwriting. There you can check out some of the screenplays I've written. I have the first 10 pages of each one uploaded, but feel free to email me at theartistsworkethicpodcast@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to send you a full script if you're interested in reading. Last thing before we get into the episode, I would love anyone listening to subscribe, rate, and review the Artists Work Ethic Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. It really helps us put the show out there for more people to listen to.
Yeah, this project came about of a couple things, really, not just situation. But what I was beginning to say was I actually started this about 10, 15 years ago, way before the situation. So it's not really born out of that. The other factor was, from Pedro show, I've had now 21 years, 9 months, because Scotty Irvin, the drummer man, was a guest on my show. But everything is connected, all right? So because of the situation, now usually, since going way back, starting the show, Watt from Pedro show, once a week, except when I'm tour, Come the situation, for 14 months, I did 5 shows a week. So I had almost 300 guests in a year, a little over a year. And Scotty Irvin was one of them, drummer man from North Carolina. And we got done spieling, playing quartet, right? This is what Man Alone. We played a bunch of that music, and I was like kind of lit by it. Also his persona and shit. And I said, well, Scotty, why don't you I've been doing this for a while. Cats send me stuff, and then, I react with some bass, and we put together an album. In fact, I made several albums before this time with cats I've never even met, still haven't met. I think it's kind of like the pocket knife, It's really the art in the pocket knife or what's going to get carved with the knife. And the same thing with the internet. Yeah, you can spread lies and hate, but you could also collab with cats.
It's opened up so many doors for people that weren't necessarily there before.
Yeah. Because you used to have to be in the same room with the fuck dudes, right? Well, actually, we ain't there yet, though. I gotta tell you, Mike, the grail to me will be when we can actually jam in real time.
Yeah.
There's still too much fucking latency, so we have to trade files, and stuff. And there's something about that. Think about it. No pressure. You get to it when you do. You give it another try, like anything human, there's pluses and minuses, So, but anyway, what I did, because at the same time, I had all these, the way I get guests on my fucking show is dudes talk to other dudes. So it's like the old days of punk, the movement. It spreads because of people. People know people. So, people ask me, what were the old days like? Well, it was about people. I think the new days are about people too. So, yeah, and the kind of people that were recommending guest spots on Watt Pedro show shit, a lot of them were into this fucking free music shit, right? Something I've always had some thing involved, but not much. A lot of shit, you practice, right? You get things together, you bring it to people, and kind of like vaudeville. So, but this is different kind of vaudeville. You're still working the room, but you're making it up as you go along. Like Jack Wright, he's an older sax man. He wrote a book called The Free Music, and he was one of the guests on. And you jump away from the pole, or something shit like that. It's another way of doing music. There's billions of ways I found out about music. That's why I have these guests, because I want to show the other listeners, see, that's their way. You can have your way. And so anyway, what I tried to do because of this free, being around all these free music kind of cats, I pretended Scotty was right there in the room with me. So when I first heard it, I played whatever came to my mind. Like I had to, we were in front of people, right?
Yep.
In the room. And that became the tune. So I give him the bass. He sends it on to his buddy. Well, I know him a little bit because I know of his band Acid Mother Temple, and respected, great cat. And it seems like a lot of their shit is improvised too. So I was like way into it. So he gives it to him. So Makoto brings guitar, and then Scotty, I guess he records stuff at his pad, but he also has a buddy named Benji who's got a studio called Earth Tones. So somehow Benji gets involved, maybe to mix it or shit. Maybe Scotty asked him, but when he hears it, he wants to jump off and with guitar sing. Even gets his boy to play on one song, right? I get to meet Ben. He's the only one I've really got to meet because Benji goes on a tour a few months ago out west because he's North Carolina too. I think they're around Greensboro.
Okay.
They're on west with like Eugene Chadbourne. Not too far from Hamlet. You know the name of the Proj, right? Hamlet, North Carolina is where John Coltrane was born. Now he moved to High Point pretty quick. In fact, Scotty said he grew up not far from High Point. It's a little town. And his daddy died, so he moved to High Point. And then when he graduated high school, Philadelphia, and that's where we know this John, after he joins the Navy, and that's the John Coltrane we know. But his beginnings is actually North Carolina. A lot of jazz cats, Dizzy Gillespie, Thelonious Monk, there's a lot of cats coming out of North Carolina. And then a lot of cats out of Philly. And then a lot of recorded in fucking New Jersey. Rudy Van Gelder. In fact, the first studio is his fucking parents' living room. Second studio is his own like studio. Yeah, can you imagine your folks letting you record dudes in the living room? Yeah, so Hackensack, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, this is all that shit. Rudy Van Gelder, if you ever see him in there, that's all Hackensack. I think even the second studio was there too. It's weird how local things were important, in those days. Sort of like D. Boone, Georgie, and me all being Pedro, but none of us are really from Pedro, Like Sly Stone said, it's not where you're from, it's where you're at. So anyway, Benji gets on board. So we thought of this thing, coming from and this is another thing, having the drums come fucking first. This idea, bass players had to suffer with this too. I think the movement helped change a lot of that, but also seeing bands in clubs. You can imagine arena rock, and yeah, you couldn't hear the bass and drums anyway, and they're way in the back in the shadows or whatever. But this idea where the songs actually start from a drummer, why can't, it's an instrument. Singing's an instrument, Anyway, I love that idea. But then the idea of Benji being the guitar, and then him even bringing words to half of them, because we only vision this thing as an instrumental record. But it was like the tail wagged the dog, according to the old stereotypes and cliche. Yep. To me, everything goes, which is one of the good things about coming from the movement, because if you're not into the slogan thing and you really believe, anarchy, there's no coercion. The only thing you got to decide who goes first. That's it. It's not what kind of guy goes first. It's like who in the dealio gets to go, and then the rest of the cats take turns. So no coercion, right? Emma Goldman. 2 cents. So we're actually living some of the credo, basic tenets of the movement, which is great because a lot of movements, they got their steam at the beginning and then they get, obsoleted by the way humans go, which is usually into some herd mentality, and they ruin all that. But some ways of the movement keep fresh, I think, and some of this improvisation thing keeps some of that spirit going. I can imagine them throbbing Gristle records. I doubt if those guys really scored all that out. I bet you there was a lot of improvisation going, and those were in the 70s, right? Funded by Pink Floyd album artwork. I found out Hypnosis, that company. Yeah, they actually went into Industrial Records, which put out them Throbbing Gristle, first annual report, second annual. It's weird, duplicit how humans are. But this is how the project gets realized. It's some intentions, because I'm not going to say it's total coincidence, but there is a lot of coincidence involved. But there's a lot of intentional stuff, and then there's a lot of this stuff letting the freak flag fly. So to me, very interesting project. I'm very honored to be part of it.
What do you think is that thing inside you that has you just keep moving from project to project and have such, output over the years that, you're always working on something?
Enabler is the bass. I can't thank D. Boone's Ma enough for putting me. I didn't even fucking know what it was. Right, we're 12. You're gonna have a band, and your band's got a bass, so you're gonna be that. And I was like, what the fuck? 14 years old, we see our first gig. T-Rex. You couldn't hear the bass. Mark Bolan's is tall. And this is why I think now the movement definitely was anti-arena rock. It wasn't kind of a sound. I did 125 months helping the Stooges, and there was a garage band scene. There was little labels. It just went away in the early 70s for arena rock. So part of it is that machine, the bass, because you kind of steal mysterious. They don't know your role, so you're free to invent yourself. And then somehow you glue the drum together with everybody else. So that it seems there's always going to be a need for that, except for the fuckers don't play without bass players. I guess there's more room in the van, but I'm always thinking of that poor lonely kick drum. But the other thing is, I got to tell you, Mike, it's other musicians.
Yep.
Understand, I didn't get into music for music. I got it to be my friend. I love D. Boone, I tried to take a music class in 7th grade. Mr. Luna, after 10 weeks, Mr. Watt, you try hard, but you should stop wasting your time, my time. And he looked at the class, our time. I was like, So I never, but thank God for D. Boone, because that's how he hung out. One of the ways, but a big way. So when I lost him and I still stayed in music, in other ways, that's how I feel real connects with people. Now, it's not the same kind of dude falling out of a tree on you, and but it's something that's authentic. It's authentic. It's a connect. It's like a flannel with all the different kinds of threads, and you never knew any of those threads, but man, maybe this combination is going to be interesting. Maybe you won't even know until walk into a club with a black light and the white lights up and all that shit. But that's what it is. So it's the potential. It's an opportunity. So you know what I mean? So kind of a hankering and shit. And it's on that vibe. It's not about technique. It's not about the most notes, the most theory, biggest concept. No, it's just about a way of sharing humanity on this artistic level we call music. I mean, it's arts, period. My best friend Raymond Pettibone, he's visual. I've done music things with him. Continue project called Sock Tight, stuff like that. But I've chosen this one because I, got in. Thank you, D. Boone, D. Boone's Ma. When I meet, and then the radio show, having people on the Watt from Pedro show, they're there, and I'm hearing, and I'm engaged. And music isn't like Happy Days. I'm not searching for Potsy and Fonzie. I'm searching for like Tamara's Cat, or some guy from the older days. But I ain't heard yet. I ain't tried those riffs or those rhythms or those textures or any of that stuff. So you understand? It's just I got a disease of curiosity about it.
There's always something new to find in the arts, whether it's film, music, the visual art. There's always a new story to tell.
Idea with within music, there's this genre thing that I hate. But even between the arts, there's genre thing that I hate. They're all gulag. They're all Berlin Walls. You got to get rid of those. It's all expression. It's just different forms. And I think you know exactly where by your answer there. Where I'm coming from.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how would you say we both have punk rock backgrounds? How do you think that DIY mentality has informed, the way you work today?
Yeah, really important. And I think it goes way back to Walt Whitman. 1855, first edition of Leaves of Grass. He's going to put out 12 poems himself. He thinks he's going to stop the fucking Civil War. Like, the dudes are going to read this shit at work, on the farm or in the factory. Yeah, fuck it. You don't have to fight. I mean, okay, that's a long time ago. Why isn't that conserved? Why isn't that a conserved ethic worth conserving? Well, it happened in our movement because we had to. We were marginalized. The so-called rock and rollers, actually people lost touch with Little Richard and all the, Jerry Lee Lewis and all the original guys, because they're wannabe arena rock guys. They want to run Nuremberg rallies. So you got to, get into bed with corporation. What? No. We want to make music. It's whatever it takes. So, yeah, we Jeremy Conway ain't a slogan, man. It's the way of life. Where we think the expression is much more important than what people have said you need with the dollar sign in front of it to get what you have in your heart out. And like-minded individuals that you run into. Whoa. It happens, right?
Absolutely.
You got a posse, you got a crew, you got a fucking, you know what I mean? You can get the boat rolling. And it's a trip how that fucking happens. Because you can find a lot about this human race to get depressed upon. But that shit, just the opposite. Whoa. I remember Richard Hell had this song, Can't Keep My Eyes on You. He goes, now I'll do nothing wrong. I want to live real long. When you get bit by it, and especially if you got crew, you got posse, it's incredible. It's really incredible. And even just one other guy in my life, the movement was just waiting for us. That's trippy about that when I think back on it. But I really think it was an anti-arena rock. Because how many bands, think about it, Mike, how many bands started at an arena rock show? And how many bands started at a club show? Where you could talk. I could see Lorna Doom's got the bass. The first 2 years I played a bass with guitar with 4 strings. I didn't know they were bigger because they're so far away. Now I could see Lorna, whoa, yeah. That's why there's only 4. Look how fucking big they are. And then, they get done playing. The guy that was standing next to me, now it's his turn up there. And there's Pat. I can talk to Pat. I mean, that didn't happen at arena. So how can you not, unless you're a jaded motherfucker, be swept up and caught up in that shit? And that's what happened to us. We got into it, man. Now, we didn't think the idea was to make a whole bunch of rubber stamp Xerox cookie cutter clone bands. The movement was not a Xerox machine. No, it's a springboard. It's a launch pad. It's to get it going. Like when I asked Scotty, can you bring me some drums? And here comes the 8 tunes. I didn't ask him to change shit. I played to what he gave me. Kodo didn't ask us to change shit. He says, look, I'm an old man on a mountain. That's what I remember what he wrote in the email. I'm an old man on a mountain. You're the man for the job. And then Benji just jumps on it, and trip float. And he said it was about a skater. He was imagining himself as a young man. Maybe his son. I never had kids, that's a trippy thing to join in with your boy with music, with these guys who brought it. I mean, obviously he runs a studio, so he has cats come in all the time that pay him to capture the thing, right? But then he gets turned on by the expression itself and he wants to join the choir.
I love that we're going to get all this new music over the next couple of years in these different, where everyone is in different locations in the world, and musicians that could never have come together before are going to come together now, and just the possibilities are almost endless at this point.
Like I said, a little down the road in real time, but right now at least we can trade the files and we can, like you say, overcome all this physical topography. And so we're no excuse to keep out of the realm of the imagination. Me and D-Boon would have had to fly, and Georgie fly to somebody, and get in that room with them. Or maybe fly tapes. Maybe some dudes did that. Yeah. I remember when me and Kay were getting ready. Here's one pre-internet way of doing that shit. After Kay graduates UCLA, she leaves Black Flag. She gets a degree in mechanical engineering, but she gets an internship in Yale. So we had just started this 2-bass band called Dose. And the way we put it together is we both get the same kind of 4-track, and we send cassettes in the mail. So actually, I was on this shit even before the internet. You know, because me and Kay wanted to do it.
Yep.
You know, and it's trippy. If you want something bad enough, you try to find ways. This is the whole idea of DIY, all that kind of thing. It's trying to be real pragmatic, but still artistic. But it's the means you're trying to get it out there. You don't look at the old paradigms. In fact, you look for any paradigm that help fucking aid and abet the sitch. It's not just any kind of band. It's kind of a thing of this era and stuff like this. But in a way, some traditions go way fucking back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass, you know. This guy made a poem out of his body. That's what Joe Carducci said. That's a great tradition to come from.
Yeah.
You know what? It's 170 years old almost.
It's a new way of doing something old, I would say.
Thanks so much for talking to me, Mike.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Take care.
Thank you so much for listening today. Please subscribe to the Artist Work Ethic podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts, and please rate and review the show. Follow us on Instagram at The Artist's Work Ethic, and check out theartistsworkethic.com.